نعم. طيب.
6 شيخ.
8.
6.
ها؟
6 السنن الخفيفة.
لإقامة سجوده على اليدين.
So iqama is number 1 of the light sunnahs, and then number 2 is to make sujood while your hands are to touch the floor with both hands while you're making sujood.
وطرف الرجلين رؤوس الأصابع.
هذا سنة ثالثة.
نعم.
That and also with the toe, with the tips of one's toes or the toes to touch the floor.
والركبتان.
And the knees. Yeah.
والأنف.
And then the nose.
إقامة سجوده على اليدين. هم يحسبون كأن نعم، لأن السجود على اليدين هذا سنتان. كانوا هذه يقولون 6 ولكن بالنسبة يقول أعضاء 6 الأعضاء 6 ليس 6 سنة. أعضاء أمرت السجود على 6 أعضاء.
So they say that it's the 6 limbs, the 6 things that should be touching the floor. As the sunnah. That's what they mean is the 2 hands, the 2 feet, and the 2 knees.
Yeah, 6 أعضاء. نعم.
So that's it. That's the 5.
هذا هو. نعم صحيح. أحسنت. نعم. وللزيادة سجدتان بعد السلام. هذا سبب أقول لكم السبب صعب جدا، سنمشي به بطيئا جدا.
So now we are doing this was as far as the qabli, the 2 sajdas that you do before the salam. Sheikh عنده سؤال.
طيب.
Let's say you're in a jama'at and the person behind you sees you make a mistake, for example, not making the sujood or not sitting after the sujood. You stand up directly.
Behind you?
Yeah, you're behind the person. The person stands up instead of sitting. Do you say subhanallah and do
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. We'll be happy إن شاء الله. وللزيادة سجدتان بعد السلام يتشهد بعدها. لكن نعم هذا هو سجود السهو متعقد كما قلت لكم سنمشي فيه بطيئين.
So we'll go through this inshallah chapter slowly.
ولو أدانا إلى رحلة أخرى هذا أمر سهل.
Even if we have to do another trip.
هذا الحمد لله أمر سهل.
Cover everything bit by bit. Inshallah it's not a problem.
ليس مشكلة. نستمع فقط ونكرر ونراجع.
That we just listen and we repeat and we review.
ونحفظ.
And we memorize.
والله المستعان.
And Allah is our
والله المستعان.
Allah is the one who is the we seek help from.
أنا لما أقول حفظ هنا في أمريكا كل ينظر إلي يقولها مستحيل. ينظر إلي نظرة استحالة.
Whenever I say the word memorization here in America, people look at me like
نظرة استحالة.
That I'm saying something impossible.
أو يقولون بصريح هذا ما يمكن.
Or they say it outright. No, nobody's going to do that.
ما يمكن. لكن هذا ليس بالصعب. إذا فرغنا له ما نفرغ للدنيا فسنحفظ.
But it's not hard if we dedicate to it a portion even, or what we dedicate to the dunya, then we will easily memorize it.
أو أقل من ذلك.
Or even less.
معناها ليس مستحيل. هذا معناه غير مرغوب فيه. بعبارة هذا غير مرغوب فيه.
So it doesn't mean it's impossible. It means that we don't care. We don't want it.
غير مرغوب فيه.
It's not something that we're trying to achieve anyways. That would.
معناها مرغوب عنه.
Meaning that we want other than it. So now it's saying that 2 sajdas after the salam.
والزيادة سجدتان. الزيادة يشترط فيها أن تكون من خارج الصلاة أو من فروض الصلاة.
So now adding to the prayer forgetfully, or adding to the prayer forgetfully, you would do 2 sajdas after the salam. What do we mean adding? We mean adding to the prayer something from outside of the prayer, or adding a fard to the prayer.
Small. You see it? You remember or
no?
Can you repeat?
Adding a fard to the prayer, like adding a rak'ah.
من كرر الفاتحة من كرر ركعة أخرى ومن أتى بسجدة ثالثة.
Adding a prayer, adding a rak'ah, doing an extra sujood, all of these are fards of the salah. adding these things, adding something that is already required in the salah but doing it extra.
أو شيء خارج عن الصلاة.
Or adding something to the prayer from outside of the prayer and that doesn't.
تكلم سيمثل له كثيرا سيوضحه.
And you'll see a lot of examples. إلا إن كان شيخ جهرا. إن كان جهرا فهذا أيضا.
نعم هذا زيادة قدمناها.
And we've already mentioned the exception to this, that it has to be a fard or something outside of the prayer. The exception is the jahr. If somebody adds jahr, that they read loudly in a prayer that should be silent, then they should also do the sujood after the salam.
نعم. وسيمثل الأخضري لذلك كثيرا في أثناء هذا الكتاب.
And الأخضري, he will give a lot of examples.
أما زيادة السنن وسيمثل لها زيادة السنن فلا يسجد لها.
But as for adding a sunnah, then you do not do a sajda.
وسيمثل ذلك كمثل السورة وكمثل تكرير التشهد وهكذا.
And he will give examples of this, such as if you add like a surah on the third rak'ah.
أو سورتين في ركعة واحدة.
Or read two surahs in one rak'ah. Or that you repeated the tashahhud or a part of the tashahhud over and over, then you do not add anything to the prayer. You do not add the two sajdas.
This is after, right?
This is talking about the additional things, and once you add to the prayer, these are the two sajdas that are after.
التشهد وعندما يفعل زيادة يلزم منها البعدي فليسجد بعد السلام ويأتي بتشهد آخر ويسجد.
And if he does the two sajdas after the prayer,
يأتي بتشهد.
How is this done? Then he finishes his prayer, everything, says the salam, then does the two sajdas, then again does another tashahhud, تحيات الله up until أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله, then does the salam.
There's tashahhud after the qabli?
After the
كم هي التشهد في البعد وفي القبل?
Both in qabli and ba'di. After you do the two sajdas. ما حكم هذا?
هذا يقول مستحب.
It's preferred, so that the sajdas are valid without it.
نعم. ومن نقص وزاد سجد قبل السلام اجتمعت الزيادة والنقصان. ولو ترك تكبيرة واحدة وزاد ركعة فعليه يسجد القبل. من نقص وزاد.
So in any case where a person's prayer is incomplete,
لزمه قبل وبعد.
That they're missing sunnah mu'akkad and so on, as we said, then they should do the qabli, even if they need to do a ba'di also. So if somebody needs to add it to the prayer and took away from the prayer, so long as that thing called taking away sunnah mu'akkada from the prayer, the prayer is deficient, they cannot end their prayer until they do the two sajdas. So the qabli must be done if it is due. Even if the ba'di is also due, the qabli would suffice. So the qabli suffices for it, and the qabli is the one that wins if both of them are needed. So sometimes somebody both took away from their prayer and they added another rak'ah to their prayer, but they also forgot some sunnahs in their prayer. So they both have the qabli and the ba'di. They only do the qabli.
What if someone's learning salah?
قال وإني الآن يتعلم الصلاة فيتركه عمدا. عمدا يعني.
ما يترك إيش؟
يعني سنة ما كذا.
قلنا ماضي.
So we said before that this is for the person who forgets the sunnah mu'akkada. If somebody doesn't know how to recite a surah after the Fatiha, or doesn't know the tahiyyat or the tashahhud or anything, and leaves it intentionally or not having knowledge, they're not leaving it for so they do not do the sujood. It is only for case of forgetfulness.
ومن نسي السجود القبلية حتى سلم سجدا كان قريبا. إذا كان الإنسان نسي السجود القبلي حتى سلم صار يقال له قضاء القبلي. فإن كان قريبا لم يطول الوقت بأن لم ينتهي من المعقبات والإخلاص والمعوذتين وبعد ذلك أو لم يخرج من المسجد فعليه أن يأتي به قضاء وإلا فلا يسجده. القبلي إذا نسيه حتى سلم وطال الوقت بأن خرج من المسجد أو تجاوز المعقبات بوقت ليس أنه فقط انتهى من المعقبات.
So now if a person was supposed to do the qabli sujood but they again forget to do it. If they forget to do the qabli sujood and even that they said their salam and that they stayed and did their dhikr and so on and a long period has passed and they are or they left the masjid that they were in.
حصل طول أو خرج من المسجد. حصل طول أو خرج من المسجد.
Either a long time passed, meaning enough time for the dhikrs after the prayer to be done, or this person left the masjid.
بطل السجود خلاص ما يمكن أن يفعل السجود.
Then he doesn't need to do the sujood. He cannot do the sujood. He cannot make up the sujood qabli.
نعم. وتبطل الصلاة معه إن كان عن 3 سنن. إن كان عن 3 سنن ك3 تكبيرات أو كجلسة التشهد الأول أو كتشهدين وتكبيرات معناها 3 سنن فالصلاة باطلة وإلا فالصلاة صحيحة.
That if he had forgotten 3 sunnahs
أو أكثر
or more, then now
كمل 3 تكبيرات
such as 3 Allahu Akbars, or that he had forgotten to do he had forgotten to do the middle sitting, because we had said that that's 3 sunnahs on its own. If a person has forgotten 3 sunnahs or more, then their prayer is considered invalid. They have to repeat. If they forget for a long time after the prayer, or they have left the place that they have prayed in. But if it is 2 sunnahs or less, then he had left the masjid or the long time had passed, then he doesn't make up the sujood, as we said, if the long time passed or he leaves the masjid. But now since it's 2 sunnahs or less, then his prayer is still valid.
ومن نسي السجود البعدية سجده. من نسي وتذكر يعني قبل فوات الوقت وإن كان ما زال في المسجد.
يسجد. قطعا من نسي وطال الوقت لا يسجد، ومن نسي مثلا وصار الوقت قريبا هذا قلنا ماضيا نتذكر بعد السلام فعليه يسجد القبلي.
But if the person forgets to do the sujood before the salam and then they're sitting there and then they're still doing the tasbih, or they're still inside the masjid and a long time hasn't passed, they're still inside the place that they prayed and they remember that, oh, I didn't do my 2 sajdas, then they can do their 2 sajdas. And their prayer is correct no matter what.
ومن نسي السجود البعدي سجده ولو بعد عام. السجود البعدي لا يضر.
But as far as the ba'di sujood, the sujood that is done after the salam, this is the person's prayer is complete. They added something, so they're making it up by the 2 sujood. That means even if they forget, even if they remember a year later, oh, there was that prayer, I did that and I forgot to do the 2 sajdas, they can do the 2 sajdas then even a year later.
ومن نقص فريضة فلا يجزئ السجود عنها.
And the one who
نقص فريضة كركوع وسجود فلا يجزئ السجود عنها. لا يكفي عنها السجود قبل ولا بعد.
And if somebody was missing a fard in their prayer and they ended their prayer, they can't make it up by sujood.
سنتكلم على ذلك.
We're going to talk about that case.
لا تتعجل.
The sujood is not for missing fard from your prayer.
نحن قلنا السجود للسنن خاص بالسنن.
The qabli is for missing sunnah mu'akkadas from your prayer, and the after is for adding fard to your prayer.
معناه نقص الفرض لا يسجد.
So missing fard from your prayer, this has nothing to do with sujood.
ومن نقص الفضائل فلا سجود عليه. ترك القنوت سبحان ربي العظيم سبحان ربي الأعلى الدعاء يعني بين السجدتين في السجود أو آمين هذا لا شيء عليه.
Now if somebody leaves the things that are the fada'il from the prayer, the things that are not at the level of being a sunnah mu'akkada, such as saying Ameen after the Imam, or saying Subhana Rabbil A'la, Subhana Rabbil Azim, then it doesn't matter how much he leaves it intentionally, forgetfully, whatever, it doesn't matter, there's no sujood and his prayer is still valid.
ولا يكون السجود القبلي إلا ترك السنتين فأكثر قدمنا هذا.
And the sujood qabli is only done if there's 2 sunnahs that are missing, and many of the sunnahs count as 2.
لأن في السنتين الماضيتين لأن كلهم تحت السنن المؤكدات كلها تحتوي على سنتين.
Because the sunnah mu'akkadas that we mentioned, those 8, all of them except for the takbir and tasmiyah, they are more
في قوتي في معنى سجدتين.
They are more than
في معنى سجدتين.
In reality, they're more than 2 sunnahs.
في معنى سنتين.
mean more than 2 sunnahs.
لا في معنى سنتين.
نعم, or 2 sunnahs. Sorry, they are equal to at least 2 sunnahs, or they are 2 sunnahs.
وأما السنة الواحدة فلا سجود لها كما قدمنا الله أكبر مرة واحدة وسمع الله لمن حمده.
But as far as missing 1 sunnah, there is no sujood. It's forbidden to do the sujood and would invalidate the prayer to do sujood.
وأوضح إلا السر والجهر فقد قدمت لكم السر والجهر.
Except for reading, except for the silent prayer and the loud prayer.
وقد قدمت لكم ذلك.
And we've explained what you do in those cases.
فمن أسر في الجهر سجد وقد قدمنا ومن جهر في السر سجد بعد السلام.
So the one who
أسر حتى لم يسمع نفسه.
The one who was silent in the loud prayer, this person
حتى لا يسمع نفسه.
that even he could not hear himself, this person does the qabli.
كما قدمنا.
As we said before, the one who,
ومن جهر حتى تجاوز من يليه.
the one who recites loudly in a silent prayer, that even the person who's not directly next to him can hear him, then he does the ba'di, as we have said before.
تقدم. ومن تكلم ساهيا بعد السلام سجد بعد السلام. هذا إيضاح. من تكلم شيء خارج عن الصلاة قال لا تفعل أو وقع كذا ناسيا أو قرأ بيتا من الأخضر أو جملة يعني ناسي غير الذكر والتسبيح واحد ناسية ولو قال التسبيح والذكر أو قرأ حزبا من القرآن هذا لا حرج. المهم يقول شيء غير ذكر الله كلام خارج عن الذكر. هذا نسي وتكلم بشيء خارج عن الذكر
في أثناء
الصلاة ناسيا فعليه السجود البعد. من تكلم ساهيا سجد بعد السلام. هذا إيضاح لما تقدم الزيادة.
So if a person accidentally says something that is outside of the prayer entirely,
ليس ذكرا,
forgetfully, but that's outside of the prayer entirely. What does outside of the prayer mean? If somebody sneezes and says Alhamdulillah, that's something from the prayer. So obviously he's going to say later, saying that doing it on purpose even is disliked, but that doesn't invalidate one's prayer to say Alhamdulillah while they were praying. Or even if somebody like gets carried away in their prayer and in their sujood, that they're saying something, even if it's not intended as a part of the prayer, but it's something from dhikr. Like saying La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Like something like they forgot something, they're like La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah.
La ilaha illallah.
Or they're like La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Whatever it is.
Subhanallah.
If it is dhikr, that's not considered an addition to the prayer that we're talking about.
لا يضر.
That doesn't affect the prayer.
لا يضر شيئا.
But we're talking about
شيء خارج عن الصلاة.
adding something that is from outside.
أجنبي عن الصلاة.
Saying something outside of the prayer that is foreign to the prayer accidentally.
كم واحد قرأ شيء من الأخضري.
Such as somebody is reciting that they're so preoccupied with their akhdari lesson that they begin to review it during their prayer.
وقال واحد هل جاء فلان قال نعم ناسيا.
Or if somebody says, "Oh, is that guy here?" and then the person is in the prayer and they're so distracted that they say, "Yes, he's here," and forgetting that they shouldn't say that. Then, because it was an accident, because it was forgetful, then it doesn't invalidate their prayer and they do the 2 sajdas.
هذا كله عمده يبطل الصلاة.
But this, of course, if it is done on purpose, it invalidates their prayer.
ومن سلم من ركعتين ساهيا سجد بعد السلام. من سلم من ركعتين أو من 3 مهم سلم قبل إكمال الصلاة ساهيا فعليه أن يحرم الله أكبر لأجل إكمال الصلاة ويسلم ويسجد بعد.
And if somebody forgetfully says the salam from their prayer before they should.
ركعتين.
Meaning after 2 rak'ahs that they say
وبعدها لا ركعات جلسة.
and then they realize, or after 3 rak'ahs that they sit down
معتقدا 4 ركعات.
thinking that they did 4 rak'ahs and then they're corrected. If they forgetfully say the salam before they should, what they should do is re-enter their prayer by saying the takbiratul ihram again, Allahu Akbar,
بنية إكمال الصلاة.
with the intention now of continuing their prayer, and they continue their prayer and they do the ba'di. They do the ba'di, get the term, ba'di means after.
من زاد في الصلاة نعم وركعتين ساهيا سجد عسرا ومن زاد في الصلاة ركعتين أو ركعتين سجد بعد السلام. هذا كما قلت لكم إيضاح. من زاد في الصلاة ركعة أو ركعتين سجد البعدية.
So whoever adds to the prayer a rak'ah or 2 rak'ahs, then he does the 2 sajdas after.
أو زاد ركوعا أو زاد سجودا.
Or he adds 1 more bowing, or he adds 1 more prostration.
ومن زاد في الصلاة مثلها بطلت صلاته.
Can you repeat that? Sorry.
So this is from the adding the fard.
Okay.
If a person adds whether fard, he gives an example of 1 rak'ah, 2 rak'ahs, a sajda, a rak'ah, whatever he adds to the prayer that is a part of the prayer that's a fard, he does the 2 ba'di.
نعم. ومن زاد في الصلاة زاد على الصلاة ومن زاد في الصلاة مثلها بطلت صلاته. من صلى في الفجر 4 ركعات ناسية ومن صلى في الظهر 8 ركعات ناسية.
Now, how much adding to the
نسيان.
prayer?
لأن هذا نسيان كثير. لأن هذا نسيان كثير.
How much forgetful addition to the prayer would invalidate the prayer? You would have to double the prayer in order to invalidate the prayer. So if you turn now a 2 rak'ah salah into 4
الجمعة أو الفجر.
forgetfully, whether it's Jum'ah or Fajr, right? If you turn the 2 rak'ah prayer into 4, your prayer is invalid. If you turn a 4 rak'ah into 6, you do the ba'di. If you turn the 4 into 8, then it becomes invalid. So, it's a lot of forgetfulness.
ومن شك في كمال صلاته أتى بما شك فيه. من شك في الصلاة هل هو صلى ركعتين أو ركعتين يأتي بركعة بما شك فيه ويسجد البعد.
And if a person is doubtful in their salah, and this is not a regular habit of theirs, that did I pray 3 or 4, then they take the safe route and they say, okay, I prayed 3, and they add another rak'ah, and then they pray the ba'di. They do the 2 sajdas after the salam.
والشك في النقصان كتحققه. لذلك قال من شك النقص فكأنه كتحقق إذا كان غير موسوس. كتحققه بعد كأنك تحققت النقصان. من شك النقص كمثل من سلم ولا يعرف هل هو من ركعتين أو 3 فمعناها من ركعتين.
So
الشك في النقصان كتحقق إلا من الموسوس.
So if somebody doubted whether their prayer is missing something or not, then the doubt of something missing is as if that thing is missing, except in the case of a person who this regularly happens to them all the time, that they know that the shaitan comes and whispers to them that they're like, did I do 3 or 4? Did I do 3 or 4? Then that has its own rule.
فمن شك في ركعة هذا هو النتيجة. فمن شك في ركعتين أو سجدتين أتى بها وسجد بعد السلام.
So if somebody is not sure whether they did
هل ترك ركعة أو سجودا.
Did they leave a bowing or did they leave a prostration? Then they do it. They do it because they say, oh, should I do this or did I already do it? No, do it and then add the sujood after the salam.
وإن شك في السلام سلم إن كان قريبا ولا سجود عليه وإن كان طال بطل صلاته. واحد جالس مازال جالس الشهور وشك أو تيقن قال سبحان الله أنا لم أسلم أو شك وليس من الوسوسة قال أنا لا أدري هل سلمت ولا لم أسلم وما زال بحالته ولم يحصل طول ما زال مستقبل القبلة ولم يحصل طول سلم ولا شك.
And the person who, what if they forget, did I do my salam or not? That they get in the zone or
ما زال بحاله
while they're sitting there,
أو تأكد أنه لم يسلم,
or that they're sitting there and and they realize that they didn't do the salam, or they doubt did they say the salam or not, they say the salam and there's nothing that they make up.
وإن طال بطلت صلاته.
And if he stayed in that state for a long time that he doesn't know whether he said the salam or
بعد
not,
أنها ذكر أو خرج من المسجد خلاص بطل الصلاة.
that he had finished his dhikr now and he's like, oh, did I do my salam or not? Then he then now his prayer is invalid. فإن مثلا إن قال السلام عليكم ولكن ظن أن في احتمال أنه نطق بالسلام بطريقة غير صحيحة فماذا يفعل؟
يسلمها.
And that if the person says the salam and then their tongue was tied and they felt like they messed up the statement of assalamu alaikum, then they should repeat it again. And that's
هذا ليس نسيانا، هذا يقال الخطأ من باب خطأ اللسان.
إن كان يعني شاكا.
نعم هذا من باب ليس من باب النسيان.
This is not a forgetfulness or intentionally messing something up. This is called, you know, getting tongue-tied.
والموسوس يترك الوسوسة من قلبه. واجب على من ابتلي بالوسواس أن يترك كل ما شك فيه حتى لا يبقى هدفا للشيطان يلعب به.
أظن أنهم لا يعلمون كثير، بعض الناس لا يعلمون ما هو الوسوسة.
أنا هيأتي الشك كل يوم أو مرة.
That if somebody reached the level where they're considered a muwaswas, that they are receiving whisperings, they're always there. It's regular for them that, oh, did I do 3? Did I do 4? Did I do this? Did
كل
I
يوم
do
يأتي الوسوسة.
They're always getting, now they're in a state where it's like they have OCD about their prayer or their wudu or whatever it is required of them.
يأتيه كل يوم ولو مرة واحدة.
Every day he gets some whispering, even if it's one time.
واجب عليه يترك هذه الوسوسة.
This person is called a muwaswas, that meaning that the shaitan is whispering to him and confusing him and muddling him up to discourage him from doing that worship. So then what must he do? He must ignore the shaitan. If the shaitan tells him, oh, you did 3 and not 4, ماذا يفعل في
يقول 4.
He says 4.
قال لو تركت عضوا من الوضوء يقول خلاص انتهى.
The shaitan whispers to him, even if it's once a day, as long
daily,
as it's a regular happening, it has to be a regular occurrence. Now, even if it's once a day, now even if it's he's making wudu, and then the shaitan whispers, oh, you forgot to do that limb. Some people, they go back and they'll do it 1,000,000 times. No, it's forbidden. You don't do it. You have to leave it 1,000,000 times. Don't do it. If this happens to you, even if only once a day, then you're considered muwaswas, and you must not listen to these whisperings and leave them.
أحد علماء البارزين الأئمة أصابته وسوسة فجاءه الشيطان وقال له تركت عضوا من أعضاء وضوء قال بالله الذي لا إله إلا هو لقد فعلته اذهب وأتي بشاهدين.
There was one of the scholars who he was
imam,
and a scholar and an imam. The shaitan whispered to him one of these days. He tried to give him a waswasa, and he came to him and he said, oh, you left one of those limbs in wudu. He said, I swear by Allah that there is no God but him, I didn't leave a limb. Go whisper to somebody else. Come with your 2 witnesses if you're true. The evidence needs to be brought by the one who's making their claim. The claim. So the shaitan left him. There's no فما حكم الذي مثلا فعلا نسي عضو
إن كان موسوسا هذا كمان نسي أو موسوس
هو موسوس وفعلا نسي عضو
واجب عليه فقط إذا حصل الشك وما إذا حصل اليقين.
لا حصل له شك فيتركه
واجب،
ولكن إذا هو فعلا كان نسي ذلك العضو
في علم الله،
نعم،
أو في علمك أنت
فيقبل منه
جدا. واجب لك الله تعالى، نحن متعبدون بما أمرنا الله تعالى. ولو كان في علم الله أنه ترك الصلاة هذا الحمد لله ما عندنا. أنا الصلاة لا تضرنا ولا تنفعنا. مهم عندنا نمتثل ما قال الله.
One very important thing, if anybody has these OCD things which are very common,
سيقول أنا ممكن أنا تركت العضو قطعا ممكن
are very common. These are very common in a lot of people, especially people who are trying to now first start doing the prayer or start returning back to making wudu or learning to make wudu for the first time.
أنا أراهم سيعذبون أنفسهم يذبحون أنفسهم يعني واحد يزيل جلده ويحاول إنه يقطع لحيته أشياء غريبة يعني.
That people, a lot of people, this is an extremely common occurrence, unbelievably common occurrence. And everybody who is doing it, they think they're the only one who is doing it, and they're so careful, and they think, mashallah, now they're so careful that I'm going to repeat my wudu so much that I'm going to peel my skin off, and my beard's going to fall off because of how much I'm rubbing it.
يعتقد انها عباده.
Then he thinks he's worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No.
يعبد خواطر الشيطان.
He's just worshipping the whisperings and the thoughts from the shaitan. Now the question that I asked was, now what if he's getting a waswasa? The shaitan tells him, hey, or he gets the thought, in his mind he got a thought, oh maybe I forgot that limb. Let me make sure and do it again.
Maybe.
It is forbidden for him to do it again. Now what if it wasn't a whispering from the shaitan, and what if he had actually forgotten that limb? That's fine. His wudu will still be accepted even without that limb. Everything will be done. Even if a part of his prayer, did you do 3 or 4, and he gets that whispering, and he says the salam as if he did 4, and in reality he did 3. But he said the salam now because he is commanded to leave the whispering entirely. The prayer will be accepted for him as if he did 4. The wudu will be accepted for him as if he did that limb.
لكن هذه الوسوسة.
But this is
قال لي إخلاص إن في بعض المساجد إنك إذا سألت عن أحكام الطهارة يقول لك أنت موسوس. هذا شيء حكم جديد. هذا أخبرني به إخلاص اليوم.
But this is a person who
هذا
is
شيء آخر. وأنا أعرف إنه حق. أنا أعرف.
This is a person who is موسوس.
أما السؤال صار وسوسته.
Who at least even one day.
أنا كل يوم
every day, at least one time
والشك يستنكح هو يقال مستنكح الشك معناها المخالط الشك هو الوسوسة.
This is called the person who is,
هذا يلازمه الشك.
The doubt is something that is always upon
ملازم له. يصاحبه الليل والنهار.
That day and night this person is
doubting. كل يوم طلعت في الشمس يحصل له شك.
فإن فات يوما ولم يحصل فيه شك.
هذا ليس شك.
So now this person is no longer considered muwaswas if one day passes by without them having that doubt. وإن يومين بعد ذلك
يرجع.
So now فإن رجع يرجع بيوم أو
يومين إذا تكرر يومين معناه أنه صار موسوسا.
So then a person becomes muwaswas, considered muwaswas, and has the rulings of muwaswas if 2 days in a row
رجع له هكذا.
He is in that state. So it doesn't matter how many days in the past. If today I'm getting a whispering and yesterday I also had a doubt, that means today I'm a muwaswas. If today I had it and yesterday I had it.
لكن فرق بين من يسألوا. هؤلاء الشباب قالوا أن المساجد هنا عندما تأتي وتسأل عن الطهارة كثيرا والصلاة يقولوا هذا موسوس.
But this is for the muwaswas which we have now described, what it makes a person muwaswas and what they should do and so on. But now unfortunately in some of the masajid, when you go and you ask about the rulings of purification, they say that, oh, you have waswasa.
هذه وسوسة. أيوة قالوا للجهل وسألوه لذكر إن كنتم لا تعلمون لكن هو بليد هو حقيقة بليد. هذا بليد لأنه وقال سألوه لذكر ما قال سألوه للجهل لذلك مسألة الجهل سيقولون وسوس. هم الجاهلان السائل والمسؤول.
This is for the people who go and ask now. They're being told, oh, you have a waswasa. No, but this is simply should be the person who's going and asking is the one who is ignorant, and Allah has said, ask the people of remembrance if you do not know.
معناه عنده العلم والعمل. هذا هو معنى أهل الذكر.
Ask the people of knowledge and remembrance, meaning the people who know and act upon their knowledge. But of course, in the case of people who are going today to the masjid and asking, oh, teach me the proper purification. Unfortunately, what is going on is 2 fools, 2 ignorant people. The person who is asking is ignorant, right? Allah commanded you to ask the people who know, the people who know and practice, not the people who are also ignorant. The person who is asking is
ولكن جاهل أجاب بما عنده قال هاي وسوسة الحمد لله.
The person who is asking is ignorant, and the person who is responding is
بما عنده جهل.
is handing what he has, which is ignorance. He says this is
جاهل سأل جاهلا.
So this is an ignorant asking an ignorant.
أنا قال هاي وسوسة. قال له هاي جواب.
And he has responded, oh, this is just waswasa.
جزاك الله خيرا. Don't go again. Allah Ta'ala قال اسألوا أهل الذكر. Ask when he has knowledge and he practices that knowledge. في نتاج don't ask him, don't compare him. ولا يحل أن يصاحب. الأخضر قال لك أن صحبة الفاسقين لا تجوز.
That you should ask the one who has knowledge and acts upon their knowledge, but don't go and ask the
إمام لا يعرف لا تسأله ولا تصحبه ولا تجلس معه.
Don't sit with the imam who doesn't know. Don't accompany the imam who doesn't know and practice. Don't accompany him. Don't sit with him. Don't ask him.
ولا يحل أن يصاحب الفاسقين.
It is not allowed for us in the beginning of Al-Akhdari is stating that it's not halal to accompany the one who is an open sinner.
أو تجلس معهم.
And or to sit with them.
أما السؤال فهيهات هذا بعيد أنت مجنون.
Unnecessarily, of course, asking an open sinner
هذا بعيد هيهات يعني.
about your deen, this is a different
أنت
level.
تجاوزت الصحبة وتجاوزت الجلوس صرت تسألون.
You've gone beyond, even sitting with them unnecessarily.
ما شاء الله الاحترام الكامل. هذا الاحترام الكامل والتوقير.
You're asking them about your deen. This is complete respect and
هذا
honoring.
التوقير والتعظيم.
That you're honoring and dignifying.
ما بقي شيء من الاحترام والتوقير.
You're honoring and dignifying open sinners. What have you left?
احترام الفاسقين أعوذ بالله.